Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali, and having learned quite a few things from, through, and from within human interactions, and having pursued and completed my master's in business administration and in clinical psychology, I today wish to talk about responsibility. In fact, I today wish to talk about responsibility through its practical demonstration and how responsibility is all about choices. And if we are talking about choices, we cannot not talk about freedom. And so, if responsibility equals choices and choices equals freedom, responsibility equals freedom. So, in order to understand that, I'll take up a very simple example over here, which is I wanting or somebody else wanting to drink lemon juice or lemon sherbet. Now, I've cut some lemons here into halves. These were essentially four lemons that I've cut into halves. I've not de-seeded them. This is black pepper powder. This is jeera powder or cumin powder. This is unprocessed sugar in a powdered format. And this is salt. Now, over here in this class, I've also kept something else, soaked chia seeds. Now, if somebody said lemon juice, well, the lemon can just be squeezed in the mouth to have its juice. However, if somebody said limbu pani or limbu sharbat, which is lime water, then again, the same lime water can be served in a bowl to wash the hands, to wash my fingertips. And yet, at the same time, if it is served to drink, or if the request is for a drink of lemon water, then it can be the juice of lemon with some water added to it, cold, regular, or hot. And it can just be served like that. Or somebody can request for some more squeezed lemon juice in the water itself, in the same glass of water itself, making it a little more concentrated. And this can then just be served like that as well. Or somebody can ask for a bit of salt to be added in this water. And this, after being stirred well, can just be served like that. Now, somebody else can also ask for a little bit of sugar to be added to that. And we can choose to add 1 spoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and stir it and serve it like so. Or, depending on how it tastes, on how one's palate is, or one's requirement is, or one's preferences after having tasted it. Somebody can ask, somebody can request for another spoonful of sugar to be added to the same water in the same glass and stirred it well. Now, after having done this and after having once again tasted it a bit, somebody else can also ask for a little bit of cumin seed powder to be added to the same water in the same mixture and stirred well. Now, once again, somebody can taste it and decide for themselves if that's good enough for them. Or somebody else can also request for just a tiny hint of pepper to it, of pepper powder to it, which might be something like this, and stirred well, to then once again be tasted to see if it's in keeping with their preference, their liking. It tastes really good to me. And then somebody else can also request for some chia seeds or for some sabja seeds to be added in the same water. Well, of course, soaked chia or soaked sabja seeds. And it may look something like this. And that can be for pure aesthetics. That can be to make it look unique and special. That can be because somebody else prefers some texture in their drink. Or that can be also because somebody prefers the benefit of chia or sabja seeds in their drink. Now, that, in my understanding, is responsibility, ability to respond mindfully, flexibly. And quite naturally, if responsibility is our ability to respond mindfully, then it quite naturally also involves slowing down enough to understand how many half lemon pieces do we want to squeeze into our glass? How much is enough for us? How much more do we need? Of whether do we want water in it or not? Of whether do we want salt or sugar in it or not? And how much is enough for us? And how much more do we need? Do we wish to add cumin powder and black pepper powder to it or not? And if we do wish to add that, or both of those, how much of that do we want to add? Is it just a pinch or two pinches or a little more? It's about understanding, it's about questioning, it's about reflecting. If we do wish to add chia seeds or sabja seeds to it or not, and how much of it we wish to add, if we at all wish to add, and for what reasons. Is it the aesthetics? Is it the uniqueness with regards to its look, with regards to its taste? Is it the texture? Or is it the benefits of those? Or is it all four of them combined together? And that quite naturally asks us to slow down, to be completely in the present without it being habitually drawn and dictated by the past, which invariably implies that maybe in the past I did not add cumin powder or black pepper powder or even chia seeds or sabja seeds to it. But today I wish to do so. Today I wish to give it a different texture. I wish to give it a different flavor. Today, I'm being completely present in the now to determine what all do I want in that? How much of it is it enough for me? And quite naturally, if we understand, if we are having so many choices, even the simplest choice of just having the lime juice straight in my mouth or mixing it up with water, salted or unsalted, sweetened, salted, or otherwise, or even with some other ingredients to it. Quite naturally, it's telling me that I am free to be able to make these choices. I'm getting a choice and thereby enough freedom to be able to choose, to be able to even choose my ingredients. There's nobody forcing me to choose it in a particular manner. There's nobody forcing me, directly or indirectly, that it should be taken in this manner, that it should be consumed in this manner, that you should prefer it in this manner, that you have to take it the way it's served. And thereby, when I am responding with regards to the choices placed in front of me, which implies freedom naturally, I then also can be mindfully present to choose to respond in the most appropriate, in the most desired manner that works most optimally for me. And which is why responsibility is our ability to respond mindfully, to choose whatever I wish to choose and however I wish to choose. And thereby, responsibility can never come with words like should and have to and ought to, which is why responsibility needs to be handled responsibly and not reactively. which is why responsibility, when mistakenly used, generally is used with words like should. And in a way, it kind of feels enforced. In a way, when people generally use it like that, in their verbatim, in the way they say it almost feels like that they are talking of something wherein they have no choice. And weirdly enough, when our freedom fighters were talking about freeing our country from the oppressive rule, from the impositions by outsiders, by others, and even when they were overriding their fears of death, and at times pretty gruesome and brutal deaths, torturous deaths, they were still taking on the responsibility to even have the ability to override those fears, which in a way then also tells us that they were having those fears, those survival fears that every organism has. The fear of death, the fear of extinction, the fear of being wiped out, the fear of being irrelevant, the fear of being replaced, the fear of not being seen, of not being heard, the fear of not being acknowledged. And yet, they were responding with the ability to overcome those fears by facing them head on. And every individual within that context was, in a way, then taking accountability and thereby their personal responsibility, their ability to respond, to override, to overcome those fears by straight going into them, by not avoiding it, by not dodging it, and by not succumbing to it. So, even during that phase, if they were making the choice to overcome those fears, wherein it was much easier to succumb, to not then go through the torture, to not then be brutally assaulted, to then not probably even face death, or allow even their children and their families to face the same. Quite naturally, they also realized at that point in time that they always have a choice. A choice to respond, or rather, an ability to respond, which then actually becomes responsibility. And unfortunately, many a times when we do not understand responsibility as the highest form of freedom, or that freedom cannot function without responsibility, that these two aspects are the two sides of the very same coin, it kind of gets misinterpreted. And thereby we begin to have a different understanding about it. When we begin to understand it a little differently, we begin to have a shift in our mindset because our beliefs with regards to that particular word and our understanding with regards to that particular word begins to shift and change. However, in keeping with the way the word responsibility is generally used, it gets co-associated, correlated with some kind of a baggage. A baggage that allows for no choices, that allows for no freedom, but a heavy baggage or a burden of expectations that have been passed on without one's consent, that needs to be delivered without having a personal say in it, which is where it loses its essence of feeling empowered by choices, by personal choices, and thereby personal accountability as well. And unfortunately, it then gets misinterpreted, misassociated, not just by one, but by millions and by billions. And then that starts to form a misinterpreted, a misinformed belief system. And as you can see from this particular image, all of our belief systems lie in our subconscious. They are out of our conscious awareness. And till the time it's out of our conscious awareness, we cannot naturally make conscious choices, wherein we feel to some degree powerless and choiceless even in our own lives, because it is the messages that circulate around us. It is the message that we embody, that we imbibe, that we absorb without our conscious awareness, and even without bringing them to our conscious awareness, that starts to operate our show, that starts to operate the show of our life. Which is why many of us feel stuck as to what will others think about us? What will we be perceived by others as if we choose to respond in a different manner, in a non-generalized manner? So let's take a deeper look. Let's actually gain more insight, to have more self-awareness as to what are the messages that we have received from others, as to what are those messages and informations that others are directly or indirectly circulating around us, that others are even spreading around us, that probably even we've been spreading around, even with regards to just the usage of the word and how the word responsibility has been used or misused, has been interpreted or misinterpreted. And maybe then start taking accountability for the way then we choose to use it. And yes, somebody had also asked me, what should the word then should be used with? Responsibility. And in my personal understanding, the word should is generally used with obligation and duties. And yet, however, if someone responsibly wishes to take on those obligations and those duties and fully understands what they are taking up, willingly taking up, then it becomes their responsibility, because they have freely chosen to take up those obligations and those duties, and thereby are free to respond to them as well. However, if it's not freely chosen, if it's enforced in said or in unsaid ways, in clear or in unclear terms, those are then obligations and duties which you should perform. So even with the usage of these words, the way it's used, how it's used, let's begin to get aware of our own subconscious belief systems that are making our life choices for us, at least 95 to 97% of the times. And in my next video, I'd like to go a little deeper with regards to these subconscious belief systems, with regards to the messages that we have received, that we have absorbed, that we have imbibed, and that have formed the foundations of our subconscious and our unconscious. Let's try and reflect on what I've shared in this video today with regards to responsibility, to accountability, which comes with choices and thereby naturally comes with freedom to be able to respond well in life. Let's try and do that for ourselves, and I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contextual content of these videos, please do like, share, and subscribe.